The final score, Barnsley 2, Wrexham 1. We've never won at Oakwell. Have we had as painful a loss as that? That was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Don't get me wrong. First half, Barnsley were 2 up and fair play to them. But our second half was absolute insanity. Let's just have some stats just before we go on, just to show how dominant we were, and yet we only got the 1 goal. 12 shots in the second half. Possession, 68.3%. Now, we're not a team that totally prioritises possession. In fact, over the whole game, 60% possession is the equal most that we've had, ironically, matching the game at Stevenage, which followed a similar pattern. But 68.3% in the second half. We won 17 headers. We had 7 corners. Goodness me, 8 key passes. It was just astonishing. 112 accurate passes. And 63% of headers won as we went long and won everything. It was remarkable. And yet, the most important thing, only 1 goal. And that hurt us. We started off with a couple of surprises in the team, but they were explicable as it turned out. Lewis Brunt dropped out and Tom O'Connor came in. Brunt had picked up a minor knock, as had Elliot Lee, who wasn't on the bench, while Mo Farl had been ill, so he wasn't on the bench either. So a little bit of alteration. But I tell you what, I was delighted with the first 10 minutes. We started at an excellent tempo. I mean, Barnsley had just set their club record for the most away wins in a calendar year, but their home record's poor, only 2 home wins this season, and we really looked like we were determined to capitalise upon that. The fans were fractious and we were at them, roared on by a fantastic following. Didn't really create many clear-cut chances, to be frank, but we had the ball in and around their half, the penalty area a lot. The midfielders were ferocious. We were playing high up the pitch. We were causing them real problems. And yeah, the tempo of our passing was good. They were struggling to keep the ball. And then they scored, and goals change games. It was a superb goal. Firstly, Connell, who I thought in the first half was terrific in the middle of the pitch, made a really good interception. We were swarming around the ball again, but he managed to stretch and win it and prodded it forwards. Phillips hit a terrific diagonal across to the left-hand side where the ex-Wrexham striker, Davis Keeler-Dunn, had Max Cleworth isolated. Now, we all know Keeler-Dunn's extremely talented, and this was a great position for him on his stronger foot, cutting in onto his right. But I thought Cleworth handled him well, kept him there. Barnett arrived quickly in support, but then Keeler-Dunn was able to just sidestep, make an angle for the shot, and hit a beauty, curling around into the bottom right corner. I was right behind it. I mean, he sets it outside the post and it curls back inside. Unsavable. Brilliant work by him. And it was a shock to Wrexham, and we responded fairly well. There's a sort of half chance in the box. A poor touch by Cotter set it up after Rathbone had done brilliantly, bursting down the left, beating a man and feeding McLean. McLean's cross, like I said, should have been cleared, but Cotter put it back into the danger area, and Palmer was swinging a shot from 6 yards out. Great block by McCarthy, who lunged in and intercepted. And trouble is for Wrexham, almost straight away, it's 2-0. And this one, more frustrating. Ball is cleared down the left-hand side. Waters, the striker, is not going to get to it first, but O'Connell has a heavy touch. A lot of talk about people slipping and O'Connell slipping, but no, he just had a poor touch. Waters was onto it really quickly, carried it down the flank. O'Connell actually tried to foul him as he went past, but unfortunately missed, because that was well worth taking a yellow card for. Waters drew Cleworth across, and then after this, it was excellent decision-making by first him, who again saw that taking on Cleworth probably wasn't going to be profitable, so we held on well and waited for support. Phillips arrives on the edge of the area nice and early, and a good pass by Waters tees him up, and then Phillips himself was very calm, didn't thrash at the shot as defenders started to get back. O'Connell's come herring across, lunges in, Phillips sidesteps him nicely, and then just drills a beautiful finish, having chosen his moment, into the top left corner. No argument, 2-0. And Barnsley were comfortable for the rest of the half. We didn't get things going. They at times I thought their game management was very good as they just slowed things down and just regulated the tempo of the game, and we never got that rhythm going again in the first half. Not that Barnsley created much, in all honesty. Cotter had a shot from a similar area from Keeler Dunn's goal, but on that occasion his sight of the goal was blocked and he put it well over. And I've got to say, and I'm, listen back, I said it in the commentary as well, I still got a feel that the Barnsley fans were edgy. Their poor home record meant they weren't comfortable with the 2-0 lead, even though they were well on top, with Connell, like I said, really regulating play very comfortably. And so, I couldn't help feeling if we could get going again and get the next goal, their fans would be edgy rather than supportive, perhaps. Well, that's kind of what happened, except we weren't able to push on from it. Phil Parkinson clearly reset us at half-time. He brought off Ollie Palmer, threw on Stephen Fletcher, earlier appearance for the super sub, and immediately we began the pattern of the second half, which was barely broken, of bombardment. We were excellent in our build-up play. We did go long, and Fletcher won a lot of headers and made a real impact, but we also passed long very well. Cleworth in particular, bringing the ball forwards and playing good balls as well down the right-hand side. And Barnsley suddenly were in clinging onto the wreckage mode, defending their 6-yard box and holding on for dear life. So here we go. Here's a procession of chances, only one of which will lead to a goal. 3 minutes after the restart, amazing save by Killip, the best of a string that he made. Rathbone again doing well, getting the ball into the box from the corner. I beg your pardon. Doing well. Ignore me. Rathbone ripping in a corner, and it drops to Fletcher, and he hits it from about 7 yards out. He struck it well. Killip is moving to his left. Fletcher's put it the other side of him. Good finish. Except somehow Killip has managed to readjust and get a foot to it and knock a powerful shot away. Absolutely remarkable save in a crowded goal mouth as well. Soon afterwards, Barnsley bring on Pines, a big centre-back, and clearly, okay, maybe Earl didn't have 90 minutes in him, but they're clearly thinking, we've got to get Pines on and handle Fletcher. McCarthy is a good central centre-back, I think, and he had a very good game, but him in the middle of the three against Fletcher, he's not as big as some other centre-backs, and Pines was on clearly for that purpose. Wrexham, relentless. Keep going. Cleworth with a great ball down the line. Barnett as well to jump and flick it on. And now it's Dobson cutting in from the right-hand side. Getting into the box. Maybe should have got his shot off a little bit sooner. And as a result, De Gevigny, who also was terrific in the back three, comes out and gets a good block on it. The ball ricochets wide to Barnett. He stands it in. Cotter flings himself at him with his arms outstretched. And it hits him. Wrexham go mad for a penalty. Ref gives a corner. Looking at the replay, I'm not 100% on this, but it looks like it hits his chest to me. But it was a very big shout. Wrexham then get the corner and have another shout for handball. O'Connor whips it in. McLean heads it towards goal and it strikes De Gevigny. Again, big shout for handball. Again, to me, it's slightly hard to tell because there's only one angle that we get. And as the ball definitely hits his chest, or body, does it then come up and hit his arm? Can't really see that because there's a player standing in the way. My gut feeling is not. So I'm not sure we had a particularly good case for these. But Wrexham keep pushing on. Cleworth with another terrific ball over the top down the right channel. Mullin sprinting after it. Pines just about sticks with him and does really well to force him wide. Mullin gets a shot off, hits the side netting from a very tight angle at high speed, and then goes clattering into the advertising hoardings, really worrying. He was down for about 4 minutes. During which time, and afterwards, when he was thankfully back up and able to continue, Wrexham were calling for a penalty. I can't really see it myself. He does put an arm out and he does put it onto Mullin, but for me, not enough contact to justify it. It's another shout. And I got to say, I wasn't that impressed with the referee, Ben Toner, who I thought made a lot of easy decisions, if you will. He wasn't going to make a decision I got in the headlines. But on balance, none of those really looked like a penalty to me, in all honesty. Mullin is going fast, and obviously if you get nudged a little bit, you can be knocked off your feet. but I didn't think Pines did anything reckless, if I'm honest. Wrexham keep pushing wonderfully. Mullin, who's angry at not getting the penalty, then is angry that it's not let back on the pitch straight away, although the rules don't let the ref do that. He's got to wait for 30 seconds. Is then allowed to come on, and brilliantly from the left-hand side touchline, just charges straight back on the pitch and makes an arcing run through the middle. O'Connell spots this extra man appearing from nowhere, lofts a beautiful ball over the top, and Mullin is in on goal with an opportunity to score. Killip denies him because he is so quick to spot the danger, sprints off his line, makes himself big and blocks Mullin's shot with his chest. The ball comes back out to Fletcher. Now the keeper's like in no man's land, like I said, but there's bodies in the box, and it's a difficult finish for Fletcher, who manages to hit it to the bottom left corner, but O'Keefe has got back and makes an excellent clearance off his line to squeeze it behind for the corner. From that corner, we win another, and from that one, O'Connor sweeps it into the near post. McLean with a diving header, which goes into the side net, and difficult chance. First time Barnsley get any real possession in our half. We're 20 minutes into the second half. Cotter hitting a great speculative diagonal, and Phillips is totally clear. Howard comes tearing out. I'm sure he's aware that if he tries to go and play the ball, he could play the man instead, because I think Phillips was favourite to get there first, but Howard is aggressive in the way he comes out, and as a result of that, I think Phillips is worried about getting clattered, and he doesn't make the ball, and the danger passes. Good work by Howard, if a little bit unorthodox. And then we're back to Wrexham piling it on. Barnett working it out wide for Fletcher, who carries it really well, helps it down the line to McLean. He drives a great cross into the 6-yard box. Dobson is powering in at the far post, makes contact with his head, just can't quite get on top of it, and from close range heads it against the crossbar. The ball gets half cleared, but that's the thing, we're bringing them in now. Barnsley are just thrashing it away. I mean, Connell, for example, who, as I said, I thought regulated the first half superbly, in the second half is just getting the ball, launching it, because there's not much else they can do. They are clinging on. The half clearance finds Barnett. He lifts a great ball back in, and Cleworth, driving between the centre-backs, has got a free header 10 yards out. It's not a bad contact, but he rather pops her up a bit. And again, Killip is very quick, really strong wrists to parry the ball away. Excellent save again by him. Halfway through the second half, another great move. We don't get panicky. We keep going and we keep causing problems. Rathbone putting a lovely ball into the box, just clipping it in 15 yards out. Mullin running right to left, gets a perfect touch to clear out of his feet and get him away from the defenders. Trouble is, he's got to take it fast before the angle gets too tight, and he has to pivot and take on a difficult finish with his left foot, and he puts it wide. 20 minutes left, and Howard has to make his first and only save of the match. Phillips doing well, feeding in Keeler Dunn in the channel, right-hand side. He cuts inside and goes with power to the near post. Howard gets down sharply and pushes it away well. 18 minutes left. Dobson comes off. Andy Cannon comes on. Cannon has an immediate effect, typically throwing himself into things. O'Connell knocking the ball down the right. Cannon flicking it on really cleverly to release Barnett down the right-hand side, and we've really opened Barnsley up here. McLean and Mullin are both unmarked at the far post. One marking one in the middle. Barnett, a great chance for him to deliver something, and sadly, he overhits it. He put plenty of good balls in, but he overhits this one, and Wrexham can't keep it in. Real frustration. Then there are two moments which maybe Fletcher will be frustrated he didn't do better with. Firstly, a long kick by Howard. Fletcher's first touch 25 yards out is magnificent as he brings it down. What a good technical player he is. But sadly, he then underhits a little straight pass that would have put Mullin one-on-one with the keeper, and is angry with himself. And seconds later, he gets a chance to make up. This time, Wrexham knocking it forwards. Mullin with a brilliant flick round the corner to put Fletcher in on goal on the right channel, and his first touch is heavy, and as a result of that, he can't get a meaningful shot off. But Wrexham do score from that. Wrexham get a corner, take our first short corner, Barnett sweeps the ball in. Cleworth actually attacks it and gets a glancing contact with his head, which sends it to the left side of the box. Mullin does really well to keep it alive and feed a dangerous ball back in. Defenders lunging at it at the near post just get a slight deflection onto it, and it falls for Cleworth in front of goal, and he drills his finish into the top left corner. He is absolutely flying in front of goal, isn't he? 6th goal of the season, and Wrexham have got 10 minutes plus, as it turns out, 7 minutes added time to try and get the equaliser, which would be the least we deserve after this insane second half. And we keep going again. Cleworth is prompting, puts the ball down the line. Cannon does really well to keep it in at full speed and rip the ball into the box. 2 defenders go for the same ball and make a hash of it. The ball drops loose, and Killip is really quick off his line to beat Mullin to it in the 6-yard box. The 89th minute, Wrexham again coming forwards. Cleworth sweeping the ball in to the box, and after Rathbone has had I beg your pardon, Cleworth rips it into the box. It's a magnificent cross. It bypasses Pines. It looks impossible to do that, and it looks like Fletcher's just going to swoop and at side foot half volley it in 6 yards out. But O'Keefe does brilliantly on the cover to come across and just turn it into a 50-50 and block the shot. It spins back out, and Rathbone is charging at it. It's again a 50-50, and he just doesn't quite arrive in time. He thrashes his shot into a defender who's arrived at the same time. We immediately make our last attacking change. Yondari Boverson coming on for Owen O'Connell, and we switch to 4 at the back, and we've now got Boverson and Fletcher up front with Mullin behind them, and we continue to lay siege on their goal. 5th minute of added time. O'Connor sweeping in another corner from the right hand side to the far post. Fletcher tees it back up with his head. McLean heads it in towards goal, and Mullin making that classic instinctive striker's run in a crowded box across the keeper, diverts it, but just gets a tiny bit too much on it, and it goes over the bar. There is one last chance, and after Stephen Fletcher's heroics off the bench in recent weeks, if this had gone in, wow, it would have been quite something. 8th minute of added time. Howard Long again. Fletcher takes it beautifully. Lovely little juggle to tee himself up, and from 20 yards he tries to volley the dropping ball in and slices it wide. McLean is furious. He's wide open on the left, and he was the percentage pass, but you know, if you could play like Stephen Fletcher, if you had his technique, and if you were doing what you've been doing in recent weeks, you would take on that Hollywood volley, wouldn't you? And that's it. The Wrexham fans stay behind to give their team a deserved ovation, because my goodness, that second half was remarkable. But we only get the 1 goal and we lose to start the year. Frustrating, but obviously you can't play with that sort of intensity through a whole game. But it was remarkable. You played the whole second half like it was the last 10 minutes and we were throwing caution to the winds. It was incredible. If we can at least rekindle that a bit, teams are going to find it hard to live with us. Looking at the performances, well, firstly, in goal, Mark Howard couldn't do anything about the goals, made a sharp save low down to his left. Some of his distribution in the second half out of Fletcher was perfect. The 3 centre-backs, well, O'Connell will be so disappointed with his error, which leads to that second goal, which makes a world of difference, in all honesty. Either side of him, O'Connor coming back in for the first time since we lost Stockport, I thought was very steady and put a lot of good set pieces in. Cleworth was impressive again. He defended well and got forwards well too, and scored the goal. Fair play to him. On the right flank, Barnett was, as always, positive and full of intent. He caused Cotter problems in the first half as well when we were pushing on early on. In the end, though, just couldn't quite find the targets that he wanted to. On the left, McLean had a battle royal with O'Keefe and was, again, all action, driving forwards, got some good service into the box. Centre midfield, Matty James again was a strong presence, defended us to box well in the first half and was driving us forwards in the second. Rathbone's man of the match because he was 2 players, wasn't he? Was there only one Rathbone out there? He was incredible. He was just non-stop work rate. Tremendous to watch. It really was. And he was so... God, if anyone deserved get something out of that game, it was him. He kept taking the game forwards, winning the ball back in the Barnsley half. Brilliant performance by him. On the other side of James, George Dobson started very brightly in the first half and had some good moments. That moment when he cut inside and shot was unfortunate. He was unlucky when he hit the bar as well. Sacrificed in the end, and Cannon did make an impact when he came on. It was certainly a Cannon sort of game. He was tearing into play and was very lively. Up front, and then Palmer did okay against the centre-backs, but wasn't really able to disrupt them too much. Mullin was working hard as always, making his runs as always. When he had that horrible knock afterwards, he seemed to play with a real fury, and I've got to be honest, it was great to see, and you couldn't help thinking, this guy is going to score here. He is on such a mission, and he just couldn't quite pull that off. As for the subs, well, I mentioned Cannon had a good influence, and obviously Fletcher did as well. He was at his agile best. There's had a couple of little moments where you back him to provide the quality, and he couldn't quite do it. That was unfortunate. And Jan-Vadi Bodvarsson only comes on for added time. He was sharp, and actually, I forgot to say, in added time, Barnsley really should have been down to 10 players. Conor McCarthy, who'd been booked for time wasting, was beaten by Bodvarsson for pace, and just with no attempt to play the ball, grabbed hold of Bodvarsson and pulled him to the floor. I mean, it's a yellow card every day of the week. It's just, he knows what he's doing. He's stopping a breakaway in added time. Bodvarsson had the whole right flank to run into, and the ref knew he was on the yellow, so he just gave a free kick and left her at that. And I just find that very, very hard to conjure with, if I'm totally honest. Not trying to go after McCarthy, who, like I said, I thought played extremely well. But, you know, the rules are there for a reason. Just because you don't send someone off doesn't mean you've had a good game. You had to go. Anyway, whether that would have made any difference, I don't know, because they were packing their box at this point, so they would have just drawn a player back. I mean, Darrell Clark did try to be bold in his alterations. He kept 2 players up, bringing on 2 big strikers, Humphreys, and then specifically Cosgrove. I think was partly because they'd be useful at defensive set pieces too. But yeah, he did try to have a counter-attacking threat, so to be fair, he just probably withdraw one of those players to pack the box with. So maybe didn't make much difference, but it was frustrating to see that. Anyway, there you have it. Lots to be pleased with, lots of drama, but the first half wasn't up to our standards, and as a consequence, we lose the first game of 2025. Plenty of time to go, though. And if we can, like I said, replicate some of that fearsome aggression in the second half, we won't do wrong at all. With the final score of Barnsley 2, Wrexham 1, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.